You guys might be wondering what this is. This is a Hyundai Genesis ECU, and it looks like we're doing heart surgery on it. But that's the only way that you can actually reflash Hyundai and Kia vehicles, is by removing the ECU and opening it up and putting all this stuff in. So this is the way to read the ECU, as opposed to pretty much any other reflash videos that you see us do. Is we stick the computer to the OBD and then you read the data just like a flash drive. But for Hyundai and Kia, they make it especially hard, and this is the only way to do it. So what we're going to be doing right now is we're going to read the data, and then once we have that data, we're going to edit it, and after we edit it, we have to stick it here again and then write it, then put it in the car, dyno it to see how much power it makes, and if we see the need for any more adjustment, remove ECU again, put here again, pin again, open again, so on and so forth. So this is why it's pretty tedious to do Hyundai and Kia vehicles, and we're the only ones who can do it for the price that we're asking. No other shop can do it for you at the price of 25,000 bucks, because no other shop has the equipment and dyno all in one roof with ample parking space to remove the car if needed be. Pretty much every other shop either only has the dyno or the equipment. They don't have both in the same location. So the way it works is like this. You bring your car to the dyno place, you put it on the dyno. They'll charge you immediately once you do a run, and then you have to remove that car in order to remove the ECU on the dyno. Or else if you leave it there on the dyno, they will just keep charging you on a per hour basis. So if you leave it there for 6 hours, they'll charge you 6 hours worth, even though the car is not running. And most of these dyno places don't have a place for you to remove the car, park it aside, protected from the wind, sun, and rain, and to have a sturdy desk like this, to have the reflashing equipment here, because it's not just the laptop. You need the K-tag, you need a power supply, you need a uninterrupted power source, ideally, because one of the bad things and you need internet also, because one of the bad things that can happen is if in the middle of writing it and then the power goes out, ECU dead. In the middle of the writing, internet goes out, ECU also dead. Now you see how it's complicated to do so. For all you Kia, Hyundai owners out there, we're the only ones who can do it, nobody else. We're your only choice in the entire country. Anyway, right now what we're going to be doing, I'm going to power it on. Then we're going to identify the ECU, see if they talk to each other. Once it's been identified, there should be numbers that come out here. So we'll have VIN number, software number, version number, etc., etc. Then doing it this way takes a lot longer than just doing it through the OBD way. So that's another one. Okay, there you go. So identify ECU works. So we have a software number and all of this other stuff. So that means the connections that we did here on the circuit board are correct. And just in case you're wondering, how do we know which pin and where to put the probes and the wires on? That comes with our yearly expensive subscription to Alien Tech. They give us a complete online guide and a wiring diagram pretty much for every ECU on the market to be able to do this. So, okay, so once that's okay, what we're going to do is we're going to hit read. So we're going to be reading the data and downloading it from that central chip over there, that Infineon chip, all the ECU data actually resides here in that square chip over there, central processor. We're gonna download the data there and then save it here on the computer. Then we'll be able to edit it. And as far as editing goes, it's not going to be this software, it's going to be a separate software. It's actually this little thing over here. Actually, this little thing over here, this yellow thing. This is also from Tech, and it's also very expensive. The software for editing is called ECM Titanium. It's actually stored inside this dongle. It is not resident in the hard drive of my laptop. It's strictly stored there. And what it needs to do is, okay, it's reading now. So we're starting to read. So it starts at 0%. This will go all the way, obviously, up to 100%. So it's going to read it sector by sector, just like a hard drive for all you computer nerds out there. Okay, after we've read the file and then saved it on our laptop, we are waiting for what we call a driver, and this is what it is in the Tech's website, driver request report. So what this simply means is that we send the file that we've read, mailed it to them, and they will come back with a corresponding driver. You can think of the driver as, if you're in the IT industry, let's say your printer has a driver. Once upon a time, your mouse and your CD-ROM all have drivers for them to work. So it's something similar to that, but I would like to think of it more as a table of contents or a file that decodes what the ECU file is, because that 2 MB is in a binary format. So I can actually open that up in Microsoft Word or WordPad and it will come out as garbage, hexadecimal. So that driver file, basically what it does is it will state that, okay, this bunch of code is for fuel, this bunch of code is for injection, this bunch of code is for spark timing, this bunch of code is for throttle, so on and so forth. So that's what we're waiting for when we say that we're waiting for a file or a driver. We just use the word file interchangeably, so para at least publish maintindihan na tao. And this is what we want to happen. So here, this driver name, gen_1D62. This is Tech's own driver, and then that's what we use here on their tuning software called ECM Titanium. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to open that up. See, and it comes out here as the driver here. And accept. Yes. And now we can edit. So pretty much this is what remapping is. All of these things are called maps, so they're separated into their own little category. So this one is air control, meaning usually mass airflow sensor voltage. This is the limiter, so we can set idle engine speed, and we have speed limit, kph. So we have spark advance, this is for timing. Engine torque, this is pretty much related to pedal request. Injection system, this is for fueling, and variable valve timing, which is the VVT. As it says, we don't really change that anymore. To remap this car, so what we do is we take a look at this one first. Spark timing base map. So what we have here is RPM, and we have here kPa, so kilopascals, that's the pressure. So just think of this as percentage of pedal. So you start from a low of 20% all the way up to 100%, which is full pedal. Then the numbers here in the middle are the actual degrees of spark advance that the engine is running. So you can increase timing by a few degrees, say 39, make it 41 degrees. There you go. And then we also want higher timing here. So we've increased general timing in this area by 2 degrees. This is also by 2 degrees. If we want more, we can increase more. So that's the timing map. We have here, let's go to the vehicle speed limit map. Oh, apparently it's only 140 kilometers per hour. No good. So what we want to do is we want to change that. Manual change. We want it 300. Bing! So now it's 300 kilometers per hour. The things that we tune in gasoline engines are spark timing, which is there, and injection system, which is fueling. There's two ways to do fueling. Either you do it through this bunch of tables, which is the actual injection system here, which uses lambda. Injection base map, AFR, full load. This one, AFR, lambda, there you go. So we can choose to alter lambda here, 1 meaning 14.7:1, and the lower the number, the richer it gets. Full load AFR, torque around. Then this one is also a map at full load, so instead of a lambda of 1, we want it to be a little bit richer here in the middle. So this is pressure versus degrees Celsius. No, not this one. There you go. This is what we want. So this actually this is pretty nice. This is actually not even in lambda. This is in AFR. So this is 14:1. So this is lean and this part is rich. So what we want, let's say on our dyno chart a while ago, it was pretty much lean, and then becomes rich. In order to make power, we should be able to have more fuel from 2,000 up to about 4,000 RPM. So here, so what we can do is make this more, to make it rich, we have to lower the number here. So we'll make that about 12s. We'll go down to the say about 12. Yeah, that should be okay as a first tune. This part we can leave pretty much alone. This one here, we probably need a little bit more fuel here as well. So we're going to be doing a bunch of other changes to the other tables here, and then we're going to write it back into the ECU, and then afterwards we put the ECU back to the cars. Hopefully it starts, and then we dyno it again to see how much power we make. Okay, this is our dyno chart for our Hyundai Genesis, and I will teach you how to read it correctly, because 9.9 out of 10 people will look at this and come to the conclusion that we only got 11 horsepower more, which is wrong. They'll just focus on these two numbers, so 263 to 274. So they'll do the math and say, huh, 11 horse, that's it? Lit naman. That's not how you read a dyno chart. But first and foremost, what you have to understand is this number, horsepower, is meaningless without this number, RPM. So these two always have to go hand in hand. The same way that when you compute your electric bill at home, it's kilowatt per hour. It's not just kilowatts. It has to have kilowatt per hour, because that's what the definition of power is. Work over a period of time. And our time component here is minutes. So this 263 horse only happens here at 6,500 RPM, nowhere else. And this 274 only happens here at 6,500 RPM, nowhere else. And it doesn't mean that when you step on the pedal, it makes all 263 horses right away. Which brings me to my second point. People ask, 263, doesn't the Genesis make something like 320 horse to the wheel? The 320 horse, according to the brochure? Yes, that's according to the brochure. And that is crank horsepower. We're talking about wheel horsepower, which is almost always less. So the correct way to read the dyno chart, let's go back, is to do it on a per RPM level, and we start here at the lowest RPM. So at 22 RPM, at full throttle, this Genesis is only making 30 horses. Over there. So after remapping, we jump from 30 horses to 120 horses. So that's 90 horse gain right there. At 3,000 RPM, it's still 30 horses, and we jump to 140. And at 3.5, it goes up to 50 horse, and we went from 50 to 160. That's 110. So 80 to 180, 100, so on and so forth. And the reason why we did not gain a lot of power here towards the end is because this car is still on the stock exhaust system. There's a lot more exhaust gases that flow out here, the high RPM, and the stock exhaust system is still causing a restriction. That's why we can't gain any more power through tuning. If we want power here to go up that way, then we will have to change out the exhaust system. We'll change out the headers, change out the mid-pipe and muffler and everything. So once we do that, we'll get another 25-30 horses more on top of whatever the stock number here, which is 264. The same thing here that happens with torque is we start at 100 Newton meters at full throttle, and now it's 360 for the same 2,200 RPM, so on and so forth. So the actual gain, if you want to do it mathematically, is to compute the area of this and to compute the area of that. Since I've been doing this a long time, I can tell you here right now, I can just look at it and the average gain is easily 70 to 80, 70 to about 75 horses, averaging out all the points here. So that's the horsepower gain of this car.